think it's very, very late in the session. So we'll quickly get on to what we want to point out here. The discussion is about global play. This is probably the most important alternate investment which you have never heard of or never thought of. I think very few people in India invest globally, which means investing in assets abroad. And I think that is one of the most important things we need to first get our hands on. And the whole point of this session is just to emphasize that. So since it's very late, Neha, can you put up the slides? So we'll not talk about a lot of slides. It's just a few points we want to make. Yeah. So I've shown the asset allocation there. You can see of North American investor and what the international equities in his portfolio, alternatives in his portfolio. So that's 10% each, both of them, approximately. While for India, it's alternatives itself is 1%. Okay, so international equities is hardly anything. Although we put a very optimistic estimate of 2% there, it's probably much, much lower than that. Okay, so the first question to my panelists here is what do you think, why is this difference there?
See, one thing, a couple of things I would like to point out. One is that, alternatives as a segment has obviously been a much more recent development in India, and there are still very few options people have. So typically in India, all of us would put real estate, private equity, even sort of gold investing into alternatives. Whereas globally, a lot of these things are not really put into alternatives. So you put a lot of different hedge fund strategies into alternatives, which in India, of course, has been non-existent till the recent introduction of the AIF regulations. And that also, as all of us know, is still very, very slow. So that is one thing where I think the regulations were not there. So therefore, the understanding of the investors and, even the institutions has been pretty low, and the products have not been there for the investors as well. Second is regarding global allocation. So even within things that people have always looked at in India, like equities, real estate, private equity, even in that, if they want to do some global diversification, the opportunities are limited in terms of what structures they will go through, the kind of money they can invest because of the RBI limits and other things. So I think because of those two things, obviously the percentage has been low. In terms of that increasing, I think it's got a lot to do with investor education and explaining that he can do a lot of things. A lot of people might not even know they can actually invest in sort of global funds. And secondly, getting the means and ways to get them to invest there.
Okay. Before you want to talk about.
So if you see in India, especially investors follow a trend. So alternatives have recently come, a lot of AIF guidelines have come in, and now it is actually moving towards actually getting mature. Offshore, it is already mature, and that's the only reason people were not aware of this thing. This is an alternative option available for investment. So what I feel ki this particular percentage, which in the slide looks like 1 or 2%, will definitely increase. I will just give you an example how investors follow each other. Almost a week back, I was in Nagpur. So a distributor there actually took out 10 investors, saying that these are the only 10 investors who can invest in alternatives.
Okay.
So we kept on and met all the investors. Everybody kept on asking whether that X guy has invested, whether that Y guy has invested. Each and everybody told us, if he has invested, don't even ask anything, just take my money. So that's the trend in India. So I feel with 77 approvals under AIF category, so now this is something which is maturing actually. And I feel this can be the biggest wealth allocation for investors in India, and it can even beat offshore maybe in next 4-5 years time. So I think this is moving towards the right direction.
Yeah, just one minor point to add to what Vibhor just said. So, I've been telling potential investors we've been meeting, I've been telling my internal team as well that I think the first 2 years, so first 2 years meaning let's start from right now because there have just been a few sort of real alternative AIFs. So the next 2 years, there are obviously going to be all sorts of strategies and all sorts of players, launching alternative funds in India. And obviously a lot of education, like I said, needs to be done to investors. But over that time period, the weaker players will get fleshed out, investors will get more educated, they'll understand what their options are, and hopefully some part of asset allocation concepts filter down to them. Then I think it will get very interesting. So I think the next 2 years, despite all our optimism and enthusiasm about all these things, the expectations should be low, but after that, the next 5 to 10 years after the next 2 years should be pretty exciting.
Okay. I think we could spend a lot of time, discussing this, but I think audience is itching to go home. So we'll move faster, we'll address the few points and close the session much earlier. Now, this is the second point, is that Indian HNI is a very large number. It's more than $1 trillion now, 250,000 HNIs in India. 40% of them are above $5 million, okay, of assets. At that size, I think HNI is not an Indian HNI per se. It becomes a global HNI. They have a lot of spending needs in dollars. And does it actually make sense for them to have all their, or a very large amount of their money locked up in rupees? So that is the question, that they probably need a huge corpus. They need to spend in dollars. They need to spend for their recreation. They need to spend for their health, probably for their education of their families. So at what point, at the question to the panel is, at what size of AUM for an Indian investors do you think? I know it will be subjective, but that's I wanted your opinion on that. At what size it becomes important to start looking at global and start doing a little bit global allocation, and at what size you should actually replicate a global asset allocation with a significant international equities portfolio?
So I feel the size should not matter. So it's more important to understand what an investor is looking for. So there are some 8 to 10 parameters which each and every investor is looking for. And he's indifferent whether he's investing domestically or he's investing globally. So what he's looking for a return which is between, let's say, somewhere around 15 to 20%. He's looking for something wherein it has limited downside risk. He's looking for something wherein whatever he's investing into is regulated by some of the regulatory body, that is SEBI, RBI, or whatever it can be, offshore, some other body. He sees there is periodic liquidity. He wants wherever he is investing has a good sponsor or the team has a proper track record. So these are some of the things every investor is looking for, and he wants to enter at a discount, maybe at par. So if any option which is available and wherein all these things can be created, there can be, this list is endless. We can also add few things in there. So he's looking for that. So it's not whether domestic or global. I know, if you'll ask me today, what are the different avenues available that he can invest globally? So there are a lot of restrictions wherein he cannot invest. So we still don't know what is the vehicle through which he can invest offshore. We know only $75,000 can be invested.